Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Drawing with Mr. Sepulveda. I'm Mr. Sepulveda, and today starts the first episode of my Dragon Triple Feature series. The way a triple feature works is very simple. For the next 3 Tuesdays in a row, I'll be releasing videos of me creating pieces of art that relate to my triple feature topic, in this case, dragons. So all you have to do is just sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Dragon Log 001. My name is Rachel Peth, and I am the Dragonborn. You might be asking what that is. A Dragonborn is an individual who has been blessed with the blood and soul of a dragon. This doesn't make me a dragon, but I am able to learn to use their special abilities by absorbing some of their essence. This could be one of their elemental shouts or breaths, or a physical attribute unique to that particular species of dragon. When I say species, I do mean there are a lot of different varieties of dragons that roam the skies, ground, and seas. I am on a quest to find and learn these draconic skills from as many dragons as I can. I have set a goal to absorb the abilities from 20 dragons to start this journey. If I am still alive by the end of it, I'll become much stronger than I already am. I shall keep track of my adventures by keeping up with this dragon log. Dragon Log 005. It has been 5 days since I began my journey to find and learn from the dragon species. I secured passage across the Atlantean Sea on a pirate ship. It did cost me a few questrels, but it will be worth it if I can spot a dragon. Not long after setting sail from the port, we spotted an incredible sea dragon. The mighty dragon had glimmering orange scales, sharp teeth, a crown-like gem attached to the dragon's forehead, and green spikes running down its back. This was all I could see with the portion of its body that was visible above the water. It wouldn't take long before I would see the rest of the dragon's body. The dragon raised its arms above the water and slapped across the top of the water, sending a large wave towards the pirate ship. The ship almost toppled, but the captain and his crew were used to the rough Atlantean Sea. The captain called for his men to prepare for the fight of their lives against the king of Atlantean. He looked over at me and told me that I better live up to the legends of the Dragonborn. The legends of the Dragonborn are those that every person worldwide knew about. The legend states that the Dragonborn are called upon in great times of need. When the world is in chaos or disarray, the Dragonborn are said to lead the world to peace. It has been at least 400 years since the last arrival of Dragonborn. That is, until I came into this world. To be honest, to become the bringer of peace to a world is something that I'm not confident that I'm able to do. At least, not as I am now. The men fired their cannons at the serpent, which caused it to back off a bit. The Atlantean king dragon swam under the water, and the water above grew still. The sounds of cannon fire ceased, and the men aboard the ship grew nervous. They looked towards the starboard and the port side. Nothing more than the reflection shone back at them. The men began to celebrate that they had scared off the sea dragon, but I wasn't too convinced. The hair on the back of my neck began to rise up, and a voice filled my head. I believe it came from the Atlantean king dragon. The voice sounded very angry, and the vibe I got was because the dragon had been attacked. Moments later, a swift tail wrapped around the ship and began squeezing the boat. The wooden ship began to crack and fall apart. I grabbed my sword and thrusted it into the tail of the dragon, drawing blood. The sword pierced through, and a blast of energy came up from the water and shot up straight into the sky. I noticed the weaponry from the men aboard the ship could not pierce the scales, and yet I was able to. Was it because I was Dragonborn? The Atlantean king dragon's tail released, and the serpent jumped out of the water and above the boat. Its mouth was wide open with sparks generating inside. I quickly ran towards the port side and dove into the sea. The men aboard the ship were frozen, and seconds later were all lifeless. I swam to the surface of the sea to lay eyes upon the carnage. The ship was set on fire, and the bodies of the men floated above the surface. The sea serpent laid eyes on me, and I instinctively swam downward. In hindsight, this may not have been the best idea to try to outswim the king of the Atlantean Sea. The dragon was already beneath me and stared into my eyes. It wrapped its tail around me and began squeezing. Then I noticed blood floating into the water from where I was able to pierce the dragon's tail. It began to glow in front of me. I was mesmerized by the sight. I couldn't hold my breath any longer and exhaled the remaining air that filled my lungs. Suddenly, the glowing from the blood overtook me, and my body began to feel different. My body needed air and quickly tried to draw in breath. I realized that I was fine. I was able to breathe underwater. But how was this possible? The king's voice was in my head again. He said, "It has been a very long time since I felt pain from the power of a dragonborn. I acknowledge your strength and bestow upon you my knowledge of water breathing." I thanked the dragon and he swam off and vanished in seconds. Looks like I was able to absorb my first dragon. Not the way that I had imagined it would go, but still, this was pretty cool. 1 down, 19 more to go. Dragon Log 029. I'd spent days swimming across the Atlantean Sea, battling giant squids, great white sharks, and even sperm whales. I reached the continent of Fika and was happy to see solid ground again. I found a market where I was able to purchase food and a hotel to rest, spending the last of my questrals. I managed to speak to a few locals to see where I could find work to earn more questrals before I set out again on my journey. I was told that I could earn questrals by visiting the message boards at the front of town. I learned that the message boards were a great location to find out information about odd jobs, mercenary work, and about regional and local news. I was intrigued by the mercenary work and decided to take a flyer. It seems a pack of sandcrawlers, large worm-like rock beasts, were preventing merchants from traveling across the Ferris Desert. I located the group of merchants and requested to take the job. The merchants were thrilled to learn that I was dragonborn and supplied me with food, water, and a shield made from a strong metal alloy. I took to the Ferris Desert and took the pathway the merchants would have to travel across Fika. I ended up running into several sandcrawler nests. I took my sword and destroyed the eggs that were left behind. This would help prevent the spread of more sandcrawlers being born, but I would still need to venture out and find the pack of sandcrawler adults. After a couple of hours, I found myself surrounded by the creatures I was set off to fight. I drew my sword and fought them 6-on-1. The battle was tough, but not unwinnable. I was able to kill all but one. The sandcrawler dug itself into the ground and began traveling north. I followed the pile of cracked earth to where it spawned, only to be surprised by what awaited there. I witnessed the rare green glowing dragon. These dragons are unable to fly with wings, but are able to channel an energy around their body that enables flight. No one quite knows how this energy is channeled or where it originates from. The green glowing dragon was approximately 100 feet tall, walking on his hind legs. The sight was incredible. The sandcrawler that got away from me was hovering over the ground, surrounded by the green energy emitting from the green glowing dragon's fist. The dragon lifted the sandcrawler out of the ground with the energy and slammed it towards the ground. Sandcrawler was motionless from the drop. The dragon laid eyes on me, and again I heard a voice in my head that was seemingly coming from the green glowing dragon. It said, "I smell dragonborn. I smell one who has come from the sea. Are you here to challenge me?" I took a deep breath before replying back. I told him that I wasn't there to fight, only to learn the wisdom that he possesses. Looking intrigued by my response, the green glowing dragon shot a green beam of energy from its hands towards my feet. I quickly blocked the beam of energy with the shield I had gotten from the merchants. "Will you fight me now, dragonborn?" asked the green glowing dragon. Again, I told him I am not here to fight, only to learn. He shot off a few more beams of energy, and I blocked every last one of them. The green glowing dragon stared at me. I felt him reaching into my soul with his stare. I did not back down and held my ground with my weapon still sheathed at my side. The green glowing dragon laughed and said that my will was strong and unbreakable like a true dragon. At that moment, a small green light left the dragon and went into my body. It was warm and made my body feel different, just like what had happened when I was with the king of Atlantean. The green glowing dragon surrounded its body in green energy and flew off into the sky. The ground behind me began to move, and instinctively I stretched out my hand towards the movement, and a green beam of energy shot out in the direction my hand was facing. It seemed the sandcrawler wasn't actually dead. At least, not until this very moment. With my job done, it was time to collect my reward. To be honest, absorbing my second dragon was going to be better than any reward I could receive from the merchants. Dragon Log 057. I have journeyed across the continent of Fika, have seen some spectacular creatures, and witnessed some unbelievable sights. I came across a giant rhino that was fighting a group of soldiers who were trying to protect their village. Turns out, the rhino had been enraged with the villagers because the soldiers had taken its son. I was able to help out by releasing the young rhino back to its parent. The villagers were thankful for my assistance, but the soldiers were not. The soldiers tried to arrest me for meddling in their affairs. I easily stopped them with my new abilities from the green glowing dragon, and they retreated pretty quickly. I haven't seen a dragon in a while, and began to rely on local rumors of dragon sightings. I reached the coast of Fika and spoke to an old fisherman who claims to have seen a sky dragon out near the United Regions. I secured passage with the trade ship and landed in the United Regions within 6 days. Once there, I spoke with an old hermit who recognized me as being dragonborn. He told me the dragon I seek would be near Trapo Mountain. He lent me his horse and we traveled to the top of Trapo Mountain. I camped out for a few days and saw no signs of the dragon. I just about gave up hope when a quick-moving blue blur flew overhead. It was the dragon I was after. It noticed me and landed nearby. This dragon was unlike the previous two I met on my journey. This dragon was the ultra-rare Kryptian Super Sky Dragon. It had to have been 180 feet in height. It had 4 arms and stood on its 2 hind legs. Its large tail slowly moved across the rocky ground. The dragon's wingspan was gigantic and incredible looking as the wings flapped in the wind against its crimson hue. I just about froze when my eyes locked with the Kryptian Super Sky Dragon. His eyes were red and began to glow. His voice then began to echo in my head. He said, "I sense the presence of a dragonborn." My body trembled under the intensity of its strong, powerful voice. I mustered up the courage to speak and told the dragon that he was correct. He replied, "I thought so. It has been a long time since I last met a dragonborn. Perhaps you will fare better than he did." When he finished speaking, his eyes emitted a wave of intense heat that began to rip apart the mountain underneath us both. I quickly drew my shield and blocked the beam from eradicating me. I then sent a green energy blast from my hand at the Kryptian Super Sky Dragon. The dragon didn't look like it felt a thing, so I aimed my energy at the ground beneath him. The rock crumbled, and the Kryptian Super Sky Dragon went down with it. Just as quickly as the dragon dropped, he flew back up into the air. The Kryptian Super Sky Dragon had grabbed a chunk of rock from the rubble that fell along with it. He then tossed the rock with all of his might at me. I put up my shield, but it was not enough to protect me. I flew back into the side of the mountain. The pain was almost unbearable. I dropped my shield and unsheathed my blade. I was a little shaky, but I knew I needed to draw out all my strength if I were to survive. The Kryptian Super Sky Dragon paused in the sky. It looked me in the eyes and into my soul like the green glowing dragon and the king of Atlinian before him. The Kryptonian Super Sky Dragon said, "You have fear inside of you, but it seems to fail in comparison to your hope. Hope is the only thing stronger than fear, young dragonborn. It is something your predecessor knew very little of. I will bestow upon you my gift." A glowing energy came from the dragon and into my body. Like the other times I felt the energy surge through me, I felt different. The pain drained from my body and I could feel stronger, a lot stronger than I had ever been before. The Kryptian Sky Dragon flew away and disappeared into the clouds. I went over to the large chunk of rock that he threw at me and was able to lift it with ease above my head. I now possessed the strength of the mightiest dragon of all. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave this video a like. If you want to see more dragon videos, I turned FNAF characters into dragons and One Piece characters into dragons a while back. Those are design notes episodes instead of story episodes, but I think you'll enjoy them either way. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing so you can stay up to date and watch more story and Speedpaint videos like this one. I'll be continuing my Dragon Triple feature series with the second installment next Tuesday, where I'll be taking famous cartoon characters and turning them into dragons. I can't wait to see you all then. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.